Hello, and welcome back. The strange thing is, it is not the gunfire that gets to you first, not the screams, not even the acrid sting of cordite drifting through the air like burnt pepper. It is the sand, wet, heavy, and clinging like regret. It fills your boots and settles under your fingernails. It finds the seams of your uniform and the corners of your mouth, grinding against your teeth with every breath. You want to spit it out, but you dare not make a sound. Not here, not now, because this is no day at the beach. If you enjoy these quiet journeys into the past, a like or a comment telling me where you're listening from always means the world. Now, lie back. Let the mattress cradle your weight. Let your limbs grow heavy, because tonight, you are not drifting off into sleep. You are sinking into a hole in the earth, carved by fire, forgotten by maps. It is June 1944. You are in Normandy, and this shell hole is all you have. Your eyes snap open, but the world refuses to clarify. Sand clings to your face, gritty and invasive, burrowing into the corners of your mouth, your nostrils, your eyelashes. It's not just sand. It's the pulverized earth of Normandy, churned into a fine, choking dust by the relentless churn of war. The air is thick with the acrid tang of cordite, a bitter perfume that stings your throat with every shallow breath. Somewhere beyond the jagged lip of your crater, the staccato bark of machine guns tears through the dawn, a jagged rhythm that seems to mock the faltering beat of your heart. You're not in your bed, not in the quiet sanctuary of your room, where the only battle is with sleeplessness. No, you're here, in a shell hole, a shallow grave carved by artillery, on June 6th, 1944. You are a soldier of Dog Company, 1st Infantry Division, an American caught in the aftermath of D-Day's bloody baptism, and you are alone. The first sensation isn't light, but weight. The weight of survival pressing down on you, as if the earth itself conspires to keep you pinned. Your ears hum with a dull, persistent ring, the ghost of explosions that haven't yet faded. Above, the sky is a sullen grey, smeared with smoke that curls like the breath of some ancient, malevolent beast. The beach, Omaha, lies just beyond your crater's edge, a stretch of sand turned slaughterhouse, littered with the wreckage of landing craft and the broken shapes of men who didn't make it. You try to call out, a hoarse whisper, anyone, Jackson, Sarge. But the words dissolve into the wind, unanswered. The silence that follows is worse than the gunfire, a void that whispers of abandonment. You're not just isolated, you're a speck in a vast, indifferent machine, a single thread fraying in the tapestry of war. Yet, somehow, your heart still beats, defiant, a small rebellion against the chaos. Your fingers claw into the damp earth, seeking something solid, something real. The walls of the shell hole are uneven, crumbling under your touch, as if the ground itself is as weary as you. It's a pitiful fortress, barely 2 meters wide, 1.5 meters deep, its sides streaked with mud and shrapnel scars. You shift, and your uniform, olive drab, soaked with seawater and sweat, clings to your skin like a second reluctant flesh. Beside you, half buried in the sand, lies your M1 Garand, its wooden stock scratched but intact, a loyal companion in this desolate place. You check it with trembling hands. 5 clips, 40 rounds total, each bullet a fragile promise of survival. Your canteen, slung at your hip, sloshes faintly, half empty or half full, depending on whether you're fool enough to hope. A bayonet, still sheathed, presses against your thigh. No food, no radio, no map, just you, the rifle, and the crater. The absurdity of it almost makes you laugh, a bitter, silent chuckle that tastes of desperation. What a grand adventure, you think, to be king of a hole in the ground. The beach beyond is a graveyard of ambition. You can't see it, not yet, but you feel its weight. Hours ago, you stormed ashore with Dog Company, part of the 1st Infantry Division, the big red one. Men hardened by North Africa and Sicily, now thrown into the meat grinder of Normandy. The history books will call D-Day a triumph, but here, now, it's a cacophony of death. German MG-42s, those merciless buzzsaws, rake the sands from fortified bunkers atop the cliffs. Pillboxes spit fire, and mortars scream down, turning men into mist. You remember the landing craft's ramp dropping, the sea swallowing your boots, the sprint through crimson waves. You remember comrades falling, their cries drowned by the surf. And then, an explosion, a mortar maybe, or a mine, threw you here, into this crater, this accidental sanctuary. The irony isn't lost on you. The same blast that killed others spared you, as if fate rolled dice and you came up lucky. For now, you don't dare lift your head. Not yet. The air above hums with danger. A low, lethal drone of bullets and shrapnel. Each mortar blast sends a shower of dirt cascading into your hole, dusting your helmet, your shoulders, your soul. You press yourself lower, as if you could merge with the earth, become invisible. Your heart pounds, a frantic drum against your ribs, and you wonder if the Germans can hear it, if they're waiting for you to make a mistake. The thought is almost funny. Here you are, a grown man, cowering like a child hiding from a storm. But this storm is steel and fire, and there's no running to safety. You close your eyes for a moment, not to sleep, but to shut out the madness, to pretend, just for a second, that you're back home, where the worst sound is a car backfiring, not a shell screaming your name. And yet, there's a strange clarity in this moment. You're alive, against all odds, in a world that seems determined to erase you. Back in your own time, you wrestle with deadlines, bills, the quiet anxieties of a life too comfortable to appreciate. Here, survival is the only currency, and every breath is a victory. You think of the soldiers who came before you, the ones who filled trenches in 1914, who faced gas and mud and futility. Their war was a slow grind. Yours is a lightning strike, but the fear is the same. A universal language spoken in racing pulses and clenched fists. You're not just a soldier. You're a witness to history's raw, unfiltered truth. A truth that humbles you, that makes your modern stresses seem trivial, laughably small. Your hand brushes the M1 Garand again, its cold metal grounding you. It's a marvel of engineering, this rifle, designed to punch through the chaos of war with 8 rounds per clip, semi-automatic, reliable even in this hell. You check the safety, a reflex born of training, and run your fingers over the clips in your bandolier. 40 rounds, not enough to fight an army, but enough to make a stand, to buy a few more minutes of life. Your canteen sloshes again, a reminder of time's cruel arithmetic. Half a litre, maybe less, to last you God knows how long. You resist the urge to drink, knowing each sip is a gamble against tomorrow. Instead, you focus on the whole, your temporary kingdom. The walls slope inward, as if embracing you, or perhaps trapping you. The sand beneath is damp, soaking through your trousers, chilling your bones. It's not comfort, but it's a cover. And in this moment, a cover is everything. A sound cuts through your thoughts, a sharp metallic clink, like a coin dropped on stone. You freeze, every muscle taut. It's close, too close. A pebble dislodged by a boot, a grenade pin. Your mind races, conjuring images of a German patrol creeping through the smoke. You grip the Garand tighter, its weight a reassurance, but also a burden. You're no hero, not yet, maybe not ever. You're just a man, a 20-something, thrown into a war that history will dissect and romanticize long after you're gone. The thought is oddly comforting, like a whisper from the future. Whatever happens here, you're part of something larger, something that will echo in books and memories. But right now, that future feels impossibly distant, a dream as fragile as the sand beneath your fingers. The shell hole is your world now, a microcosm of survival. You shift, trying to find a position that doesn't ache, but every movement stirs the dust, coating your throat, your lungs. You cough softly, muffling it against your sleeve, aware that sound could betray you. The irony strikes again. In your own time, you'd kill for a quiet night, a chance to escape the noise of life. Here, silence is a predator, stalking you as surely as the enemy. You think of home, maybe a small town in Ohio, a city apartment in New York, a place where the worst fight is over a parking spot. The contrast is stark, almost absurd, and you feel a pang of gratitude for that distant life, for the luxury of boredom, of safety. But gratitude won't keep you alive, not here. You peer at the crater's edge, just a glance, enough to see the grey horizon flicker with distant muzzle flashes. The battle hasn't stopped, it's merely paused, catching its breath before the next assault. You're a soldier, yes, but also a survivor, a student of this brutal classroom called war. Every sound, every shadow teaches you something. How to listen, how to wait, how to endure. The men who stormed this beach with you, the ones who didn't make it to a hole like this, they're your ghosts now. Their sacrifice a lesson etched in blood. You don't know if you'll survive the next hour, let alone the next day. But you know this, you're still here, still breathing, still fighting. And in that, there's a quiet, stubborn triumph, a defiance that no shell can shatter. Your body is a ledger of survival. Each ache a line item to be tallied. The shell hole cradles you in its damp, unyielding grip, a crude fortress carved by chaos. Beyond its jagged rim, the world churns with the relentless clatter of war. Mortars thump like heartbeats of a dying giant. Rifles snap in sharp retorts, and the distant wail of men weaves a grim tapestry. You're alone, a solitary speck in this maelstrom, and the weight of that solitude presses harder than the earth beneath you. Your breath is shallow, a cautious sip of air thick with the tang of churned soil and gunpowder, as if the ground itself exhales the memory of violence. Survival demands precision, a cold accounting of what remains. So your hands move, trembling but deliberate, to catalogue your existence in this fleeting moment. You start with your body, fingers probing beneath the coarse wool of your uniform, seeking betrayal in the form of blood or bone. A dull throb pulses in your shoulder, likely from the jolt of landing here, but it moves without resistance. Your ribs ache, tender from hours curled against the crater's slope, yet none feel cracked. A shallow cut stings across your knuckles, crusted with dirt, a minor grievance in this theatre of ruin. Your legs, cramped and heavy, still obey, though pins and needles prick your calves as you shift. You're intact, a miracle that feels more like a taunt than a blessing. Alive, yes, but for how long? The thought curls in your mind like smoke, bitter and fleeting, and you swallow it down, knowing despair is a luxury you can't afford. Your hands drift to your gear, the sparse arsenal that defines your defiance. The M1 Garand lies beside you, its barrel cool against your palm, a steadfast companion in this desolate kingdom. You check the magazine, 5 clips, 8 rounds each, 40 chances to cheat death. The mechanism clicks smoothly, a testament to American engineering, designed to punch through chaos with relentless precision. Your bayonet, still sheathed at your hip, is a reassuring weight, its blade unmarred, ready to carve a path if bullets fail. The canteen at your belt sloshes faintly, less than half remains, a cruel ration for a throat already parched. You resist the urge to drink, each drop a wager against an uncertain future. No food, no radio, no map. Just these tools, these fragments of hope, and the absurd realization that you're a king of nothing, ruling over a pit of dirt. A glint catches your eye, half buried in the crater's floor, a brass button torn from someone's uniform, its eagle emblem dulled by mud. You pick it up, turning it in your fingers, and a wry thought flickers. Some poor soul's lost finery, now a relic in your tiny empire. Was it his last stand, or just a careless snag in the chaos? The button feels like a message from the past, a reminder that others have been here, in holes like this, their stories swallowed by the earth. You slip it into your pocket, a talisman or a curse, you're not sure which. The act grounds you, a small defiance against the void, as if claiming this scrap makes you more than a ghost in waiting. The crater itself demands scrutiny. Its walls, uneven and crumbling, rise just high enough to shield you from the storm above. You trace the edges with your eyes, noting the jagged scars where shrapnel bit deep, the loose soil that threatens to collapse with the next blast. The floor is a patchwork of damp sand and stone, cold against your knees, a bed no one would choose, but one you're grateful for. You shift, trying to ease the cramp in your back, but the movement stirs a cloud of dust that coats your tongue, a gritty reminder of your fragility. The hole is both womb and tomb, nurturing your survival while whispering of its limits. You wonder, with a dark chuckle, if this is what it means to be buried alive, safe, yet suffocating, a paradox carved in dirt. Above, the battle rages on, its sounds painting a picture you can't see. A mortar screams, closer now, and the ground shudders, raining pebbles into your lap. You flinch, instinctively curling tighter, as if you could shrink into nothingness. The irony isn't lost on you. In your own time, you'd kill for a moment of quiet, a reprieve from the clamour of deadlines and screens. Here, silence is a predator, a pause that might herald a grenade or a bayonet. You think of those who fought before, in the mud of Verdun or the snows of the Somme. Their wars a slow grind compared to this lightning strike of steel and fire. Yet their fear mirrors yours, a timeless thread binding you to them, a brotherhood forged in terror. The thought is oddly comforting, as if history itself whispers that you're not alone, even in this solitude. Your gaze falls to the M1 again, its sleek lines a contrast to the chaos. Designed by John Garand, it's a marvel of its time, capable of firing 8 rounds in seconds, each pull of the trigger a calculated act of survival. You run your fingers along its stock, feeling the grain worn smooth by use, and wonder about the hands that held it before you. Did they make it? Did they too count their bullets like prayers? The clip's weight is reassuring, but finite. 40 rounds, a meager defiance against an enemy armed with machine guns that spit 1,000 rounds a minute. You check the safety, a ritual to steady your nerves and secure the clips in your bandolier, each one a fragile promise of another moment alive. The canteen tempts you, its faint slosh a siren's call. You unscrew the cap just to check, and the sight of the dwindling water twists your gut. Less than a pint, maybe enough for a day if you're stingy. You cap it tightly, as if sealing a vow, and tuck it closer. a lifeline you can't yet spend. The bayonet, too, deserves a glance. Its 7-inch blade gleams faintly, a tool for close quarters, where survival becomes a dance of steel. You imagine using it, the thought both grim and absurd, like picturing yourself in a duel from some forgotten century. War, you realize, is a great leveler, reducing modern men to primal instincts, to the raw arithmetic of life and death. A sound interrupts, a sharp crack, not a mortar, but a rifle, close enough to make your pulse spike. You freeze, every sense straining. Is it a stray shot or a sniper probing for movement? Your mind conjures a German marksman, hidden in the cliffs, his scope sweeping for fools who dare to rise. The thought is almost laughable, a dark jest. You, a target in a game you didn't choose, pinned in a hole you didn't dig. Yet there's a strange clarity in this fear, a sharpening of the world that makes your modern worries, traffic jams, unpaid bills, seem laughably small. Here, every second is a lesson, every breath a victory, and you're learning fast. A student in this brutal academy of war. You adjust your position, easing the strain in your legs, and notice a faint tremor in your hands. Exhaustion, or fear, or both. It doesn't matter. You're still here, still counting, still assessing. The crater's walls seem to lean closer, as if whispering secrets of those who've hidden here before. You think of soldiers from other wars, other holes, their stories etched in the earth, their courage a quiet echo in your own resolve. Back home, you trade anything for a night of peace, a chance to escape the grind of stress. Here, peace is a fleeting dream, but survival is real, tangible, a fire that burns despite the cold. You clutch the Garand, its weight a reminder that you're not done yet, not erased. And in that stubborn grip, there's a flicker of triumph, a silent vow to endure, to outlast the chaos, one breath at a time. The shell hole is your universe now, a cramped dominion of dirt and shadow where time frays into jagged threads. The air hums with menace, a low drone of unseen bullets slicing through the haze beyond your earthen walls. You crouch, knees pressed into the damp, uneven floor. Your M1 Garand a cold anchor against your chest. The world outside churns. A distant mortar coughs, its echo rolling like thunder trapped in a bottle, while the sharp crack of rifles stitches chaos into the morning. Your breath is a cautious sip, tasting of dust and dread, as if the earth exhales its own fear. You're a solitary figure, a pulse of defiance in this pit, waiting for a sign, a sound, anything to break the suffocating stillness that feels like a predator's pause. Your eyes dart to the crater's rim, a jagged horizon barely a yard above your head. It's a threshold you dare not cross, not yet. Not when the air above vibrates with the promise of death. A faint tremor runs through your fingers, not from cold, but from the strain of holding still, of listening. Every sound is a cipher, a riddle that could spell survival or ruin. A pebble clatters down the crater's slope, dislodged by some unseen force. A stray bullet, a gust of wind, or something worse. Your mind conjures a German grenadier, faceless and silent, creeping through the smoke. The thought is almost absurd, a dark jest. You, a man reduced to a heartbeat, hiding from shadows in a hole you didn't choose. Yet there's no laughter, only the tight coil of fear wrapping around your spine. You shift slightly, easing the ache in your hips, but the movement stirs a puff of grit that coats your lips. The crater's walls are a patchwork of loose soil and stone, their surfaces scarred by the violence that birthed this refuge. You trace a finger along a gash in the dirt, where a shard of metal has carved a brutal signature. It's a reminder of the artillery that rules this beach. German 80 18mm guns, lobbing shells from fortified positions, each one a blind reaper seeking flesh. The history books will call this Omaha Beach, a crucible of courage. But here it's just a slaughterhouse. Its sands a canvas of blood and steel. You wonder, with a bitter twist of thought, if the generals back home ever imagined men like you, cowering in holes, counting breaths like coins. The silence is a lie. It's not true silence, but a tense, expectant hush, broken by the irregular pulse of war. A machine gun chatters, its rhythm erratic, like a drunkard's argument, then falls quiet. You strain to hear more, to pass the distance, the direction. Is it closer now? Your heart thumps, a traitor broadcasting your presence, and you press a hand to your chest as if to hush it. The absurdity strikes you. You're hushing your own heart, as if it could betray you to the enemy. In your own time, you trade a week's sleep for a moment of calm, a reprieve from the grind of worry. Here, calm is a trap, a siren luring you to lower your guard. You think of soldiers from other wars, their trenches filled with mud and gas, their fears a mirror to yours. Their ghosts seem to linger, whispering that survival is a game of patience, of outwaiting death itself. You adjust your grip on the Garand, its weight a grounding force. The rifle is your lifeline, its 8-round clips a fragile arithmetic of defiance. You've checked it before, but you do it again, a ritual to tame the chaos. The bolt slides smoothly, the chamber clean, a testament to the weapon's design, simple, lethal, built for moments like this. You imagine the men who carried it before you, their hands steady or shaking, their fates unknown. Did they wait like this, ears straining, hearts racing? The thought is a quiet bridge to the past, a reminder that you're not alone in this fear, even if your comrades are out of reach. You secure the rifle against your shoulder, its stock worn but solid, a companion that doesn't judge your trembling hands. The crater's floor is a cold, unyielding bed, its dampness seeping through your trousers, chilling your bones. You try to shift, to find a position that doesn't ache, but every movement feels like a gamble, a rustle that might draw a sniper's eye. You picture him now, a faceless figure in field grey, his Mauser trained on the crater's rim, waiting for a flicker of movement. The image is almost comical, a grim cartoon of hunter and prey, but the fear it stirs is real, a cold weight in your gut. You wonder if this is what it means to be alive in war, not fighting, not charging, but waiting, a creature reduced to instinct, to the primal art of not dying. Back home, you'd laugh at the irony. You, sleepless from stress, now craving the oblivion of rest in a place where rest could be your end. A new sound cuts through, a low, guttural drone, like the growl of some mechanical beast. An aircraft, maybe, but whose? You squint at the grey sky, visible in slivers through the crater's mouth, but see nothing. The sound fades, leaving you to wonder if it was friend or foe, a Spitfire or a Messerschmitt. The uncertainty gnaws at you, a reminder of your isolation. You're a speck in this vast machine, a single cog in the grinding gears of war. The thought brings a wry twist to your lips. In your own time, you're dwarfed by emails and deadlines. Here, it's shells and snipers. Yet there's a strange clarity in this, a sharpening of purpose that makes your modern woes seem trivial, like shadows cast by a forgotten sun. You reach for your canteen, not to drink, but to feel its weight, to reassure yourself it's still there. The faint slosh is a cruel reminder of its limits, a ticking clock in liquid form. You trace the cap with your thumb, resisting the urge to unscrew it. knowing each sip is a debt to tomorrow. The bayonet at your hip catches your eye, its sheath scuffed but intact. You draw it just an inch, and the blade's faint gleam is a promise of last resorts. It's a tool for close quarters, for moments when bullets run dry and survival becomes a dance of steel. The thought is grimly absurd. You, a man of the 20th century, reduced to a gladiator in a pit. Yet there's a flicker of pride in it, a nod to the resilience that keeps you breathing, waiting, enduring. Another sound, a sharp metallic ping, like a coin striking stone. You freeze, every muscle taut, your breath caught in your throat. It's close, too close. A bullet grazing the crater's edge. A fragment of shrapnel settling. Your mind races, painting horrors. A grenade rolling silently toward you, a patrol creeping through the haze. You press yourself lower, as if you could melt into the earth, become invisible. The irony bites. In your own time, you'd give anything for a moment's peace, a chance to escape the clamor of life. Here, peace is a phantom, a fleeting illusion that could vanish with a single shot. You think of those who waited in other wars, in foxholes and trenches, their patience a quiet heroism. Their stories are yours now, woven into this moment, this endless wait. The crater's walls seem to close in, their shadows deepening as the light shifts. You trace a crack in the dirt, a jagged vein that speaks of the violence that birthed this place. It's a relic of artillery, of the German guns that pound this beach with mechanical precision. You've read about them. 88mm flak cannons, repurposed to shred infantry, their shells tearing through hope as easily as flesh. The knowledge is useless here, a scholar's trivia in a survivor's world, but it grounds you, a thread connecting you to the larger story. You're not just waiting, you're witnessing, a keeper of history's brutal truth. And in that, there's a quiet defiance, a refusal to let fear erase you, to let this hole become your grave. Night falls over the shell hole like a shroud, heavy and suffocating, transforming your earthen refuge into a cavern of shadows. The clamour of the day, mortars roaring, rifles spitting, fades into an eerie hush, as if the battlefield holds its breath. Beyond the crater's rim, the world is a void, a black canvas pricked only by the occasional flicker of a distant explosion. This silence is no comfort. It's a predator, coiled and waiting, more terrifying than the chaos it replaced. You're alone, a solitary pulse in this pit, and the quiet is a blade held to your throat. Your eyes strain against the darkness, seeking shapes in the murk. The crater's walls loom like silent sentinels, their outlines blurred by night, as if the earth itself conspires to obscure your fate. You shift, trying to ease the ache in your legs, but the movement stirs a faint crunch of gravel, a sound that feels deafening in this stillness. You freeze, heart thudding, certain the noise has betrayed you. The absurdity of it bites. A grown man, trembling at the sound of his own shifting weight, as if the night could judge you for daring to exist. In your own time, you'd trade a week's wages for a quiet night, a reprieve from the hum of modern life. Here, silence is a trap, a canvas for your mind to paint horrors. A German patrol, a grenade's soft clink, a bayonet's glint in the starlight. A new sound pierces the quiet, a low, guttural murmur, words in a language you don't need to understand to fear. German, close, too close. Your breath catches, a jagged hitch you smother against your sleeve. You press yourself deeper into the crater's floor, the damp earth cold against your chest, as if you could burrow into oblivion. The voices are hushed, deliberate, a patrol picking its way through the wreckage beyond your hole. You imagine them now, faceless figures in field grey, their Mausers ready, their eyes scanning for stragglers like you. The thought is almost laughable, a grim jest. You, a king of dirt, hiding from shadows who'd snuff you out without a second thought. Your fingers tighten on the garand, its trigger a temptation you dare not touch, not yet. You hold your breath, counting seconds, each one a small eternity. The voices fade, replaced by the soft tread of boots on sand, receding into the night. Relief washes over you, but it's fleeting, tainted by the knowledge that they could return. You exhale, a slow, trembling release, and the silence rushes back, heavier now, as if mocking your survival. The irony isn't lost. Back home, you'd curse the noise of a neighbor's radio, the buzz of a phone. Here, noise is life, proof that the world hasn't forgotten you. Silence is death's ambassador, whispering that you're alone, that no one's coming. You think of soldiers from other wars, huddled in trenches under gaslit skies, their nights as fraught as yours. Their fear is your kin, a shared legacy etched in the quiet moments between battles. The cold deepens, a sly intruder that creeps into your joints. You pull your knees closer, tucking your hands under your armpits, but the chill is relentless, a reminder of your fragility. The crater's floor is a mosaic of mud and stone, its dampness soaking through your trousers, turning your legs to lead. You try to imagine warmth, a fire, a blanket, but the images dissolve into the reality of this pit. Your canteen, still at your hip, tempts you with its faint slosh, but you resist, knowing water is a currency you can't squander. The thought is grimly absurd. You, a man of the modern age, rationing sips like a castaway, as if civilization never happened. Yet there's a strange pride in it, a nod to the resilience that keeps you anchored, waiting, alive. A sudden flare bursts overhead, a magnesium star that bathes the beach in a ghostly white glow. You press yourself flat, eyes wide, heart hammering as the light spills into your crater. The world is exposed, twisted metal, shattered crates, the glint of abandoned helmets scattered like fallen leaves. You see it all in a heartbeat, a frozen tableau of ruin, before the flare gutters out, plunging you back into darkness. A shard of metal, still warm from the explosion, lies inches from your hand, its edges jagged and cruel. You don't touch it, but its presence is a taunt, a reminder that even the sky can betray you. You wonder, with a dark chuckle, if this is war's version of a spotlight, casting you as the reluctant star of a tragedy no one's watching. Your mind drifts, unbidden, to the men who didn't make it this far, the ones who fell on the beach, their names already fading into the chaos. You don't know them, not really, but their absence is a weight, a silent chorus that haunts your solitude. History will call them heroes, but here they're just men, young and scared, who ran out of luck. You think of other wars, other nights, soldiers in Verdun's mud, in Gettysburg's fields, all bound by this same vigil, this waiting game with death. Their stories are a quiet comfort, a reminder that you're part of something larger, a tapestry of survival woven through centuries. Yet the thought is bittersweet. Their courage didn't save them, and yours might not either. You try to sleep, but sleep is a fickle ally. Your eyes close, only to snap open at the faintest sound, a distant crack, the rustle of wind through barbed wire. You manage a few minutes, head resting against the crater's wall, but dreams are jagged, filled with flashes of fire and faces you can't place. You wake, heart racing, to find the night unchanged, the silence thicker now, as if it's grown fat on your fear. The absurdity strikes again. Back home, You toss and turn, chasing sleep through a fog of stress. Here, sleep is a risk, a surrender that could cost you everything. You wonder if this is what it means to be a soldier, not the charge, not the fight, but this endless vigil, this dance with dread. The garand is your anchor, its weight a constant in this shifting world. You check it again, a reflex born of necessity, fingers tracing the clip's edge. 8 rounds, loaded and ready, a fragile shield against the night. You imagine firing it, the recoil jarring your shoulder, the sound shattering this oppressive quiet. But you don't, not yet. The silence is your ally now, as much as it's your enemy, cloaking you from those who hunt. You think of the German patrols, their MG-42s capable of tearing through a squad in seconds, their grenades small but deadly. The knowledge is useless, a scholar's note in a survivor's world, but it sharpens your focus, keeps you tethered to this moment. The night stretches on, an endless expanse of waiting. You trace the crater's edge with your eyes, memorizing its contours, as if familiarity could make it less a prison. The walls are steep, their surface rough with embedded stones, a testament to the blast that carved this space. You wonder about the shell that made it, a German 80mm mitten perhaps, or a naval round gone astray. The thought is oddly poetic, a creation born of destruction, a haven forged by havoc. You're a guest here, an uninvited tenant in a house of war, and the irony is a quiet sting. In your own time you'd curse a sleepless night, but here, sleeplessness is survival, a badge you wear with reluctant pride. The first light of dawn creeps over the shell hole's rim, a pale, reluctant glow that feels more like a judgment than a promise. The air is sharp with the bite of early morning, a cold that clings to your skin like a damp cloth, seeping into your joints. The battlefield beyond is a muted roar now, the clamour of guns dulled to a distant grumble, as if war itself has grown weary, but a new enemy stirs within you, insidious and relentless. Hunger gnaws at your gut, a hollow ache that twists like a blade, while thirst parches your throat, turning each swallow into a rasp of sandpaper. You're alone, a fragile spark in this pit, and the rising sun only sharpens the truth. You're running out of time. Your stomach rumbles, a low, plaintive growl that seems to echo off the crater's walls. It's been hours since you last ate, a half-forgotten ration bar back on the landing craft, now a distant memory. You fumble at your belt, hoping for some overlooked crumb, but find only the canteen, its contents reduced to a pitiful slosh. You unscrew the cap, peering inside, and the sight of the scant water, barely a few ounces, feels like a betrayal. You tilt it, letting a single drop touch your lips, a tease that only deepens the ache. The irony stings. Back home, you toss out half-drunk coffee without a thought, cursing a long day. Here, a sip is a treasure, a fleeting rebellion against the body's demands. You cap the canteen tightly, as if sealing a vow, and tuck it close, a lifeline you can't yet spend. The crater's floor is a cold, unyielding slab, its dampness soaking through your trousers, chilling your bones to the marrow. You shift, trying to ease the cramp in your thighs, but the movement only stirs the ache, a reminder of hours spent immobile, curled like a beast in its den. The walls, scarred and uneven, seem to lean closer, as if the earth is tightening its grip, mocking your fragility. You trace a finger along a ridge of dirt, its texture gritty and unyielding, and wonder if this is what it feels like to be entombed, alive, yet buried, a paradox carved in mud. The thought is grimly absurd, a dark chuckle in your mind. You, a modern man, reduced to a scavenger in a hole, bartering with fate for one more hour. A faint rustle draws your attention, a scrap of paper caught in a crevice of the crater's wall, fluttering in the dawn breeze. You reach for it, fingers trembling, and find it's a torn letter, ink smudged but legible, addressed to someone named Clara. The words are mundane: a soldier's promise to return, a mention of a farm in Iowa, but they hit like a shell. Someone wrote this, held it, carried it, only to lose it here, in this pit of despair. You fold it carefully, tucking it into your pocket, a relic of a life you'll never know. The act feels futile, yet it's a quiet defiance, a refusal to let the war erase everything. You think of soldiers from other times, their letters home lost in the mud of Antietam or the Somme, their hopes as fragile as yours. Their ghosts linger, whispering that survival is a story written in small, stubborn acts. The hunger grows sharper, a claw digging into your core. You try to distract yourself, focusing on the sounds beyond the crater. A distant artillery barrage rumbles, its rhythm irregular, like a heartbeat skipping. You imagine the German guns hidden in concrete bunkers atop the cliffs, their barrels trained on the beach below. The 80 mm flak, a weapon of terrifying precision, could end you in an instant, turning your hole into a grave. The knowledge is useless, a scholar's footnote in a survivor's world, but it keeps your mind sharp, tethered to the reality of this place. You wonder, with a bitter twist, if the generals plotting this war ever felt hunger like this, a gnawing that makes you question your own strength. Back home, you'd skip a meal for convenience. Here, it's a sentence, a slow erosion of will. Your throat burns, each swallow a dry scrape that begs for relief. You eye the canteen again, its weight a cruel temptation. You shake it, listening to the faint slosh, and calculate. Maybe a day's worth, if you're disciplined. Discipline, you think, is a luxury for men not starving in a hole. The thought is almost funny, a wry jab at your own fragility. You, who once complained about a lukewarm latte, now bargaining with droplets like a miser. You press the canteen to your chest, as if its presence could soothe the ache, and turn your gaze to the sky. The dawn is grey, streaked with clouds like smeared ash, a canvas that offers no answers. You wonder if the planes overhead, their engines a faint drone, see you at all, a speck in a crater, invisible to the world. The cold is a constant now, a thief stealing warmth from your limbs. You tuck your hands under your armpits, but the chill persists, sinking into your bones like a debt you can't pay. Your uniform, stiff with dried sweat and mud, chafes against your skin, a reminder of the body's betrayal. You try to move, to stretch, but the crater's confines mock your efforts, each shift a negotiation with pain. You think of soldiers from other wars, their nights spent shivering in foxholes, their bodies as battered as yours. Their resilience is a quiet echo, a reminder that you're not the first to endure this, nor the last. Yet the thought is bittersweet. Their survival didn't guarantee their return, and yours is still a gamble, a roll of dice in a game you didn't choose. A sudden sound, a sharp metallic clank, snaps you alert. It's distant, maybe a canteen dropped by a careless soldier, or a shell casing hitting stone. You strain to listen, every nerve taut, passing the silence for clues. Is it a patrol, a stray animal? The uncertainty is a weight, heavier than hunger, sharper than thirst. You imagine a German squad, their boots crunching through the sand, their voices low and guttural. The thought is grimly absurd. You, a man of the 20th century, reduced to a hunted creature, waiting for the hunter to pass. yet there's a flicker of defiance in it, a stubborn resolve to outlast this moment, to prove you're more than prey. You check the Garand again, fingers brushing the clip, reassuring yourself of its 8 rounds. It's a lifeline, a tool of defiance, but also a reminder of your limits. 40 bullets against an army. You wonder about the men who designed it, safe in factories far from this beach, their hands clean of mud and blood. Did they know the weight of their creation, the lives it would save or end? The thought is a fleeting distraction, a scholar's musing in a soldier's world. You secure the rifle, its stock worn but solid, and settle back, the hunger and thirst a dull chorus in your body's song. The dawn brightens, casting long shadows across the crater's walls. You trace a crack in the earth, its jagged path a map of violence. This hole, born of a shell's wrath, is your shield, your prison, your story. Here, sleep is a distant dream, a luxury for those not counting breaths in a war zone. Yet there's a strange clarity in this hunger, this thirst, a sharpening of purpose that makes your modern life seem small, almost laughable. You're alive, still fighting, still waiting, and in that, there's a quiet triumph, a refusal to let the earth claim you, not yet. The shell hole is a silent jailer, its earthen walls closing in as the day drags on, each moment stretching like a taut wire. The air is thick with the damp musk of churned soil, a scent that clings to your skin, heavy as guilt. You sit, knees drawn up, the M1 Garand resting across your thighs, its barrel a mute witness to your isolation. Beyond the crater's rim, the battlefield hums with a distant pulse, artillery thuds, faint shouts, the occasional scream of a shell cutting the sky. But here, in this pit, solitude is your captor, a relentless force that gnaws at your mind, sharper than hunger, crueler than thirst. You're alone, a single breath in a world that seems to have forgotten you, and the silence is a mirror, reflecting every doubt you've ever buried. You try to fill the void with sound, your voice a hoarse whisper, barely audible. Mom, Dad, Sarah. The names of loved ones tumble out, a fragile litany to keep madness at bay. Each syllable is a tether, a thread tying you to a life beyond this hole, to a place where nights are soft and safe, not jagged with fear. You speak them again, slower, as if naming them could summon their faces, their warmth. The absurdity is stark. You, a man of reason, chanting names like a prayer in a pit of war. Back home, you'd laugh at the thought, pacing your room to escape the weight of a long day. Here, words are your only company, a flimsy shield against the loneliness that creeps like frost, chilling your thoughts. The crater's confines feel tighter now, its walls a cage sculpted by violence. You run a hand along the dirt, feeling the coarse texture, the embedded pebbles like bones in the earth's flesh. A faint crack runs through the soil, a scar from the blast that birthed this refuge, and you trace it, as if decoding a map to nowhere. The thought is grimly amusing. You, an explorer of a 2-meter kingdom, charting cracks instead of continents. You imagine soldiers from other wars, their foxholes and trenches as confining as this, their solitude as heavy. Did they talk to themselves too, whispering names to keep the dark at bay? Their ghosts seem to hover, their silence a shared language, a reminder that loneliness is war's oldest weapon. A sound intrudes, a low rhythmic thrum, like the heartbeat of a distant machine. You tilt your head, straining to place it. A tank, perhaps, its treads grinding through the sand beyond your view. American, German. The uncertainty is a splinter in your mind, sharp and persistent. You picture a Panzerreif, its turret swiveling, its 75mm gun ready to erase you with a single shot. The image is almost comical, a dark jest. You, a speck in a hole, pitted against a steel beast that doesn't know you exist. You press yourself lower, the earth cool against your cheek, and wait for the sound to fade. It does, eventually, leaving you to wonder if it was real or just your mind conjuring threats from the void. Your thoughts spiral, unbidden, to the life you left behind. A kitchen table, a radio playing softly, the hum of a world where danger is a missed deadline, not a bullet. You try to hold the image, but it slips, drowned by the reality of this pit. The solitude is a weight pressing on your chest, making each breath a conscious act. You speak again, this time to yourself. You're still here. You're still you. The words feel hollow, a lie to comfort a child, but they're all you have. Back home, you'd curse the sleepless nights, the endless churn of worry. Here, sleeplessness is survival, a vigil you keep because closing your eyes feels like surrender. The irony is a quiet sting. You once craved solitude, now dread its suffocating embrace. A glint catches your eye, a shard of glass half buried in the crater's floor, reflecting the weak light of day. You dig it out, careful not to cut yourself, and find it's a fragment of a bottle, its label long gone. You turn it in your hands, its edges smoothed by sand, and wonder about its story. A soldier's whiskey, a medic's vial? It's a relic of someone's life, now as useless as your own plans. You tuck it into your pocket, next to the folded letter from another's past, a collection of ghosts you carry for no reason but to feel less alone. The act is absurd, a collector's whim in a world that discards men like trash. Yet it's a defiance, a refusal to let solitude erase you entirely. The battlefield sounds shift, a faint shout, clipped and urgent, followed by the rattle of small arms fire. You tense, fingers brushing the Garan's trigger guard, but the noise is too far to threaten you directly. You imagine American troops pushing inland, their M1s barking against German defenses, their lives hanging on the same fragile thread as yours. The thought is a bittersweet bridge to the past, to soldiers who waited in other wars, their hopes pinned on comrades who might never come. History is a cruel teacher, its lessons written in blood and absence. You wonder, with a wry twist, if your name will be a footnote in some future book, or just another silence swallowed by the earth. Your body protests, a dull ache spreading from your shoulders to your spine. The crater's floor is a relentless foe, its cold seeping into your bones, turning your limbs to stone. You try to stretch, but the space is unforgiving, each movement a negotiation with pain. You think of the German bunkers atop the cliffs, their concrete walls housing machine guns that spit death in relentless bursts. The MG-42, nicknamed Hitler's buzzsaw, can fire 1,200 rounds a minute, a fact you've heard in training, now a grim reality. The knowledge is useless here, a scholar's trinket, but it sharpens your focus, reminds you of the stakes. You're not just waiting, you're surviving. A solitary act of defiance in a world that doesn't care. A new sound, a soft, skittering rustle, like leaves on stone. You freeze, eyes darting to the crater's rim. A rat, perhaps, scavenging the wreckage, or something worse. Your mind paints a German scout, his knife gleaming, his breath a whisper in the haze. The fear is a coal spike, pinning you in place. But you force it down, swallowing the panic. The sound fades, leaving only the hum of your own pulse. You laugh, a silent, bitter chuckle. You, a man of the modern age, spooked by shadows like a child in the dark. Back home, you'd shrug off a sleepless night with coffee and grit. Here, Every moment awake is a victory, a refusal to let solitude's bite draw blood. Night descends over the shell hole like a tide of ink, swallowing the world in a cold, unyielding flood. The air bites, sharp with the frost of a Normandy evening, seeping through your uniform to claw at your skin. Exhaustion weighs on you, a stone on your chest, but sleep is a treacherous guest, weaving nightmares that blur the edges of reality. You're alone, a fragile thread stretched thin, caught in a web where fear and memory spin a relentless dance. Your eyelids flutter, heavy as iron, but closing them feels like stepping off a cliff. You force them open, staring into the void, where the crater's walls vanish into shadow. A faint tremor runs through your hands, a shiver born of cold and dread, as if your body knows what your mind denies. The night is a hunter, and you're its quarry. A dream seizes you, unbidden. A jagged flash of fire, the beach awash in crimson, a comrade's hand reaching from the surf, fingers dissolving into foam. You jerk awake, breath ragged, the earth beneath you cold and real, a stark rebuke to the phantom's grip. The irony is a bitter twist. Back home, you chase sleep to escape the grind of worry. Here, sleep is a labyrinth, each turn a trap that drags you back to the slaughter. A soft rustle pierces the quiet, a faint skitter beyond the crater's edge. You stiffen, every nerve a live wire straining to pass the sound. A pebble tumbling, a boot brushing sand. Your mind paints a German soldier, his silhouette lean and lethal, creeping through the haze with a Luger in hand. The image is grimly absurd, a dark comedy. You, a man of the modern age, reduced to a cornered animal, waiting for a shadow to strike. You press your back against the dirt, its chill a stark reminder of your fragility, and hold your breath, counting seconds like beads on a rosary. The sound fades, leaving only the night's oppressive hush, a silence that mocks your pounding heart. You try to anchor yourself, fingers brushing the M1 stock, its wood worn smooth by hands unknown. You don't grip it, not yet, but its presence is a quiet vow, a promise of fight if the dark demands it. You imagine firing it, the recoil a jolt against your shoulder, the muzzle flash a brief defiance of the night. The thought is futile, a scholar's fancy in a survivor's world, but it steadies you. You think of the men who carried such rifles in other wars, Gettysburg's fields, Ypres mud, each facing their own nights of terror. Their stories are a faint echo, a reminder that fear is a timeless companion, binding you to them across centuries. Yet the thought is bittersweet. Their courage didn't always save them, and yours is a fragile shield. The cold is a relentless foe, sinking into your bones like a debt you can't pay. You shift, trying to warm your legs, but the crater's floor is a slab of ice, its dampness soaking through your clothes, turning your limbs to lead. You imagine a fire, its warmth a distant dream, but the image crumbles against the reality of this pit. You think of the German defenses, their bunkers carved into the cliffs, housing men who don't shiver, who wield Panzerfaust that could turn your whole to ash. The weapon's name whispered in training feels like a curse now. Its rocket a spectre that haunts your thoughts. The knowledge is useless, a fragment of history in a world of survival. But it sharpens your edge, keeps you tethered to the stakes. A new sound, a faint rhythmic creak, like leather under strain. You freeze, heart a drum in your chest, passing the noise. A pack shifting on a soldier's back, a tank's hatch opening. You picture a German half-track, its tracks grinding through the sand, its crew scanning for stragglers like you. The thought is almost laughable, a wry jest. You, a speck in a pit, pitted against machines that could erase you without pause. You wait, motionless, until the creak fades, swallowed by the night. The silence returns, heavier now, as if it's fed on your fear. Back home, you'd shrug off a strange noise, blaming a neighbor or a storm. Here, every sound is a verdict, a question of life or death. Your dreams claw back, a relentless tide. You see the beach again, not as it was, but as a fevered vision, tangled barbed wire twisted like veins, bodies strewn like broken dolls. A voice calls your name, faint and fading, but when you reach for it, there's only sand slipping through your fingers. You wake, a silent gasp tearing through you, the crater's walls unchanged, their shadows a cage for your thoughts. The irony is a quiet sting. In your own time, you trade anything for a night without dreams, a reprieve from stress. Here, dreams are a battlefield, each one a wound that doesn't bleed. You think of soldiers from other times, their nights haunted by cannon fire or gas, their fears as vivid as yours. Their resilience is a quiet thread, weaving you into history's tapestry. You reach for your canteen, not to drink, but to feel its presence, a reminder of limits. Its weight is lighter now, a cruel arithmetic of survival. You don't open it, knowing each drop is a wager against tomorrow. Instead, you trace the bayonet's hilt, its leather grip rough under your fingers, a tool for a fight you dread. You imagine its blade in the dark, a last stand against an unseen foe. And the thought is grimly absurd. You, a man of reason, contemplating a duel in a pit. Yet there's a flicker of defiance in it, a refusal to let the nightmare win. You whisper a word, home, a soft plea to the void, a vow to remember why you endure. The shell hole is a silent crucible, its earthen walls a fortress of shadow under the faint light of a new dawn. The air is thick with the damp tang of morning dew, a fleeting reprieve from the acrid haze of war. Your heart, battered by hours of dread, quickens with a flicker of something unfamiliar. Hope. A sound cuts through the haze, sharp and unmistakable. American voices, clipped and urgent, calling out in the mist. Salvation seems close, a fragile promise in a world that's offered only peril, and you cling to it, a weary pilgrim in a pit of despair. Your ears strain, passing the voices through the fog. Move up, secure the ridge. The words are faint, carried by a breeze that smells of salt and smoke, but they're English, unmistakably American. You imagine a squad of GIs, their helmets bobbing through the dunes, their rifles ready. The thought is a spark, igniting a warmth in your chest that battles the chill of the crater's embrace. You shift, peering at the rim, its jagged edge a threshold between you and rescue. The urge to shout, to wave, surges like a tide, but you hesitate, throat tight. The memory of unseen threats, German patrols, snipers, holds you back, a leash of fear that tugs at your resolve. The irony is a bitter twist. Back home, you'd call out to a friend without a thought, voice free. Here, a single word could be your end, a fatal note in this deadly score. You ease closer to the crater's edge, fingers brushing the dirt, its texture gritty and cool. A faint mist cloaks the beach, a veil that blurs the world beyond, turning shapes into ghosts. You squint, searching for movement, and catch a flicker, a silhouette, maybe a man, darting through the haze. Your pulse races, a drumbeat of possibility. Is it one of yours? You picture a sergeant, grizzled and steady, leading his men toward safety. The thought is almost comical, a wry jest. You, a castaway in a hole, pinning your life on a shadow in the fog. Yet hope is a stubborn thing, a weed that grows in the cracks of despair, and you nurture it, knowing it could wither with a single shot. A new sound, a sharp metallic clatter, like a tool dropped on stone. You freeze, breath caught, every nerve a live wire. Is it a canteen? A rifle's bolt? Your mind paints a German squad, their helmets low, moving through the mist to flank the voices you heard. You imagine their MP40s, those compact killers, ready to shred the morning's fragile promise. The thought is grimly absurd. You, a speck in a pit, caught between salvation and slaughter, your fate a coin toss in the fog. You press yourself lower, the earth's chill seeping into your chest, and wait, ears straining for the next clue. The clatter doesn't repeat, but the silence that follows is heavy, a shroud that smothers your budding hope. You check the Garand, a reflex born of survival, fingers tracing the clip's edge. 8 rounds loaded and ready, a meager shield against whatever lies beyond. You don't grip it tightly, not yet, but its presence is a quiet vow, a promise to act if hope demands it. You think of the men who carried such rifles in other battles, Anzio, Kasserine Pass, their fights a distant echo of your own. Their courage is a faint thread, weaving you into a tapestry of resilience, but it's a fragile comfort. Their victories didn't always mean survival, and yours is still a gamble, a roll of the dice in a game you didn't choose. The thought is a quiet sting. History remembers the battles, not the men who shivered in holes, waiting for a chance. The mist thickens, a grey curtain that muffles the world. You peer over the rim, cautious, and see nothing but haze. A dreamscape where shapes flicker and vanish. The voices call again, closer now, a lifeline in the fog. Dog 2, report. The words are a beacon, pulling you toward action. But fear anchors you, a chain forged by hours of dread. You imagine standing, waving, shouting, but the thought is a dark comedy. You, a target painted in mist, inviting a bullet for your bravery. Back home, you'd run to a friend's voice, heedless of danger. Here, every move is a calculation, every sound a verdict. You whisper a name, your brother's, soft as a prayer, a reminder of why you endure, why you hope. A faint glint catches your eye, embedded in the crater's wall, a spent bullet, its copper tip dulled by impact. You pry it free, its weight light in your palm, a relic of violence that missed its mark. You turn it, wondering about the hand that fired it, the life it sought. Was it German? American? The bullet doesn't answer, a silent witness to war's indifference. You tuck it into your pocket, a grim souvenir, and the act feels futile, yet defiant, a refusal to let hope die. You think of soldiers from other wars, their pockets filled with tokens of survival, buttons, shells, letters. Their stories are a quiet bond, a reminder that hope is a fire kindled in the dark, fragile but fierce. The voices grow louder, a chorus of urgency. Clear the sector. You imagine them now, a platoon pushing through the dunes, their boots crunching sand, their eyes scanning for threats. Your heart leaps, a wild surge of possibility, but you temper it, knowing hope is a double-edged blade. You check your grenade, its pin secure, a last resort you pray you won't need. The Mk2, nicknamed Pineapple for its grooved casing, is a brutal tool, designed to fragment and destroy. You've seen its work in training, its blast a storm of steel, and the thought of using it here is a grim jest. You, a scholar of survival, armed with a fruit-shaped death. Yet it's a comfort, a weight that steadies your trembling hands. The mist begins to lift, revealing slivers of the beach, twisted barbed wire, shattered crates, the faint outline of a wrecked landing craft. You squint, searching for the source of the voices, and catch a glimpse. A helmet, American, bobbing through the haze. Your breath catches, a mix of joy and terror. They're close, maybe 100 yards, but the distance feels like a chasm. You imagine running, shouting, but the thought is a dark chuckle. You, a man of reason, weighing life against a sprint through no man's land. Back home, you chase a friend without fear. Here, every step is a wager, every hope a risk. You grip the Garen's stock, its wood a silent promise, and wait, poised on the edge of action. The shell hole is a jagged sanctuary, its earthen walls a fragile shield against the chaos beyond. Dawn's faint light filters through a haze of mist, casting the crater in a ghostly pallor. American voices, sharp and urgent, echo closer now. Move up, hold the line. A lifeline that stirs your pulse with hope. But before you can act, a new sound shatters the morning. The guttural chatter of a German MG-42, its relentless buzzsaw tearing through the mist. An ambush. Your heart lurches, a wild drumbeat, as the promise of rescue twists into a deadly snare, and you're thrust into a moment where survival demands action, not waiting. The machine gun's roar is a blade, slicing through the voices you heard moments ago. Shouts turn to screams, American and raw, swallowed by the MG-42's fury. You press yourself against the crater's slope, dirt crumbling under your weight. As bullets whip through the air above, they whine a lethal hymn. Your mind races, painting the scene beyond. A German squad, entrenched in a dune, their gunner sweeping the beach with mechanical precision. You imagine your comrades, pinned or falling, their advance cut down in seconds. The thought is a bitter jest. You, so close to salvation, now caught in a slaughterhouse where hope is a cruel mirage. Your fingers tighten on the Garand, its 8 rounds of fragile defiance against a weapon that spits 1,000 in a minute. You peer over the rim, eyes stinging in the mist, and catch fleeting shapes, shadows darting, silhouettes crumpling. The voices are gone, replaced by the MG-42's relentless pulse and the sharp crack of return fire. Your breath is shallow, each inhale a calculated risk, as if the air itself could betray you. You spot the grenade at your belt, the MG-2's grooved casing a cold weight, its pin glinting faintly. The thought of using it is a dark comedy. You, a man who once fumbled with keys in a quiet life, now weighing a throw that could mean life or death. You've trained for this, tossing dummies in fields far from here. But training is a ghost now, irrelevant in the face of real steel. Yet the grenade is your only chance, a desperate bid to break the ambush's grip. Your heart pounds, a traitor announcing your fear, but you force your hand steady. You crawl up the crater's slope, inch by inch, dirt smearing your face, until you can see the dune. A low rise, maybe 50 yards off, where muzzle flashes dance like fireflies. The MG-42's chatter is deafening, a mechanical beast that chews through hope. You unclip the grenade, fingers trembling, and pull the pin, the click a quiet vow in the chaos. You count 1, 2, then hurl it, arm arcing through the mist, the pineapple tumbling toward the dune. Time slows, each second a lifetime, as you duck back, pressing your face to the earth. The explosion is a thunderclap, a raw burst of sound and force that silences the machine gun, leaving a ringing void in its wake. You wait, breath held, ears straining for the aftermath. The silence is eerie, a vacuum where death holds court. No more MG-42, no more shouts, just a faint groan, distant and human, that chills your blood. Did you hit them? Did you save anyone? The uncertainty is a weight, heavier than the grenade you threw. You imagine the German gunner slumped in his nest, or perhaps crawling, wounded but alive. The thought is grimly absurd. You, a scholar of survival, now a dealer of death, your hands stained by a choice you didn't want. Back home, you'd agonize over a wrong word, a missed deadline. Here, a single throw reshapes the world. A fleeting act that might mean nothing or everything. You check the Garand, a reflex to ground yourself, its clip still loaded, 8 rounds ready. You don't fire, not yet. The silence is too fragile, too precious. You think of the men who fought in other wars, their moments of action as desperate as yours. Chancellorsville, Gallipoli, their fields soaked in blood like this beach. Their courage is a faint pulse, a reminder that you're not alone, even in this solitary act. Yet the thought is bittersweet. Their bravery didn't always save them, and yours is a gamble, a coin tossed in the fog. You wonder, with a wry twist, if history will note your throw, or if it's just another spark lost in the fire of war. A new sound, a sharp cry, American, raw with pain. Medic! Your heart leaps, a wild surge of hope and dread. Someone's alive out there, wounded but fighting. You peer over the rim again, the mist thinning now, revealing a shattered landscape. Dunes pocked with craters, barbed wire twisted like veins, bodies strewn like broken promises. You spot movement, a GI crawling, his helmet askew, dragging a leg that trails blood. Your instinct screams to run to him, to help, but the silence holds you back, a warning that the ambush might not be over. The irony is a quiet sting. Back home, you'd rush to aid a stranger without thought. Here, every step is a wager, every act a risk. You scan the dune, searching for threats. A faint glint catches your eye, a German helmet, half buried in the sand, its owner gone or dead. You imagine the squad, their MP40s silent now, their ambush broken by your grenade. The thought is a dark chuckle. You, a nobody in a hole, turning the tide with a single throw. Yet the victory is hollow, shadowed by the cost. You think of the men who designed the Mk2, their factories far from this beach, their hands clean of blood. Did they know the weight of their creation, the lives it would end or save? The knowledge is useless, a scholar's musing, but it sharpens your focus, keeps you tethered to this moment. The shell hole is a crumbling bastion, its earthen walls scarred and slick with morning dew. The air hums with the faint tang of gunpowder, a lingering ghost of the chaos that birthed this refuge. The battlefield beyond pulses with a fading din. Scattered rifle shots, the low groan of a distant engine, but a new sound cuts through. A sharp American shout, "Over here," followed by a hand waving through the thinning mist. Your heart surges a wild jolt of possibility, but fear claws at it, a reminder of the ambush that nearly snuffed out hope. For the first time in hours, you decide to move, to crawl from this pit, each inch a gamble between life and the abyss. Your fingers dig into the dirt, nails scraping against pebbles as you pull yourself up the crater's slope. The earth is cold, its texture a gritty rebuke to your trembling hands. Pain flares in your shoulder, a dull throb from the strain of carrying the Garan, but you grit your teeth, pushing forward. The mist swirls, a grey veil that blurs the world beyond, turning dunes into phantoms, wreckage into shadows. You imagine a German sniper, his scope glinting, waiting for a fool to rise. The thought is a dark jest. You, a man who once tripped over words in a quiet life, now a crawling target in a deadly game. Yet the shout, American, alive, pulls you like a tide, a beacon in this sea of ruin. You reach the crater's rim, breathe shallow, and peer into the haze. The beach unfolds in fragments. Twisted steel from a wrecked Higgins boat, Coils of barbed wire like knotted veins, sand pocked with fresh craters. The waving hand is clearer now, a silhouette in olive drab, maybe 100 yards off, near a low dune. You squint, catching the glint of a helmet, American, unmistakable. Your pulse hammers a frantic rhythm, but caution holds you back. The silence after the ambush is a fragile thing, a glass pane that could shatter with a single shot. You think of soldiers from other wars, crawling through mud at Shiloh or snow at Bastogne. Their escapes as desperate as yours. Their courage is a faint echo, a reminder that movement is defiance, even when it feels like madness. You slide forward, belly to the ground, the Garand's barrel scraping the sand. Each movement is a calculation, a silent prayer to go unseen. The mist is your ally, cloaking you in his damp embrace, but it's a fickle friend, thinning with every passing minute. You pause, heart pounding, as a faint crunch echoes, a twig snapping, or a boot on gravel. Your mind paints a German patrol, their Mausers ready, combing the dunes for stragglers. The image is grimly absurd. You, a scholar of survival, inching through a no-man's land where every sound is a verdict. Back home, you'd cross a street without a thought, heedless of danger. Here, each yard is a battlefield, each crawl's a wager against death. Your hands find a shard of metal, half buried in the sand. A piece of shrapnel, its edges jagged and warm from a recent blast. You push it aside, its weight a reminder of the violence that surrounds you. The thought is a quiet sting. Someone's shell, meant for someone else, now a marker on your path. You think of the men who landed here, their names lost to the chaos, their stories buried in the sand. History will call them heroes, but here they're just men, like you, crawling toward a chance at life. The shrapnel is a relic, a silent witness to their fight, and you leave it behind, a refusal to let it define your own. The American shout comes again, sharper now. Keep moving. You spot the figure, a sergeant, his arm raised, directing survivors toward a cluster of dunes. Your chest tightens, a mix of relief and terror. You crawl faster, elbows digging into the sand, the Garand's strap chafing your neck. The ground is uneven, littered with debris, shell casings, a torn pack, a boot with no owner. You pause, breath ragged, as a faint hum grows. A jeep's engine, American, its tires crunching through the sand. The sound is a lifeline, but it's also a risk, drawing eyes you can't see. The irony is a wry twist. Back home, a car's rumble was background noise, ignored. Here, it's a signal, a promise, and a threat all at once. You reach a shallow dip, a scar in the sand, and hunker down, scanning the mist. The sergeant is closer, maybe 50 yards, his voice hoarse but steady, urging men forward. You see others now, 2 GIs limping, their rifles slung, moving toward him. Your heart leaps, but fear tempers it. You imagine a German machine gun, hidden in the fog, waiting to cut them down. The thought is a dark chuckle. You so close to rescue, yet still a breath from oblivion. You check the Garand, its clip secure, a reflex to steady your nerves. The M1 is a marvel. Its 8 rounds a fragile shield, designed to punch through chaos with precision. You don't fire, but its presence is a vow, a readiness to fight if hope fails. A new sound, a sharp metallic clink, like a coin on stone. You freeze, every nerve taut, passing the noise. A dropped clip, a grenade's pin. Your mind conjures a German squad, their helmets low, creeping through the mist. You picture their Panzerfaust, those rocket launchers that could turn your crawl to ash. The knowledge is useless, a training camp echo, but it sharpens your focus. You crawl again, slower, eyes darting for cover. A wrecked crate, a mound of sand, anything to shield you. The thought is grimly absurd. You, a man of reason, scooting through a graveyard of steel and flesh, chasing a voice that might be your salvation or your end. The mist thins, revealing more of the beach. A shattered pillbox, its concrete cracked like bone, a tangle of barbed wire glinting in the dawn. You see the sergeant now, kneeling by a dune, his hands signaling urgently. Your breath catches a mix of exhaustion and hope. You're close, so close, but the ground feels endless, each inch a marathon. You think of soldiers from other times, crawling through no man's land. Their escapes a testament to grit. Their stories are a quiet bond, a reminder that movement is survival, a refusal to let the earth claim you. Back home, you'd run to a friend's call without fear. Here, every move is a prayer, every yard a triumph. The Jeep's hum grows louder, its engine a steady pulse in the haze. You imagine it now, an American Willys, its driver scanning for survivors, its cargo bed ready for the wounded. The beach is a graveyard, but you're not buried, not yet. And in that, there's a stubborn spark, a quiet refusal to fade into the mist. A medic's hands, steady but hurried, press gauze to your face, wiping away grime and blood. Name, she asks, voice clipped, but your throat locks, words trapped like flies in amber. You're alive, pulled from the jaws of war, but the past hours haunt you, a silent reel of terror and survival that plays behind your eyes. The Jeep lurches over the uneven sand, each jolt a stab in your aching limbs. Your shoulder throbs, a dull fire from the strain of crawling, and your hands tremble, still wired from the adrenaline of escape. The medic's eyes are kind but tired, her uniform stained with the cost of others' survival. You try to speak, to offer your name, but only a rasp escapes, a ghost of your voice. The thought is a bitter jest. You, who once chatted freely over coffee, now mute in the face of salvation. You think of soldiers from other wars, pulled from trenches at Verdun or fields at Antietam, their voices lost to the weight of what they'd seen. Their silence is your kin, a shared language of endurance, a reminder that survival is a story written in scars. The beach unfolds beyond the Jeep, a wasteland of wreckage and resolve. Shattered landing craft jut from the sand like broken teeth, their hulls rusted and torn. Barbed wire coils in the distance, glinting under a rising sun that pierces the thinning mist. You see figures now, GIs moving in small groups, their helmets bobbing, their rifles slung. The medic mutters, "You're lucky," as she ties off the gauze, but luck feels like a lie. You've crawled through a graveyard, past debris and death, to reach this Jeep. The thought is grimly absurd. You, a man of routine, now a survivor of a gauntlet, no one should run. Back home, you'd celebrate a small win, a promotion, a paid bill, with ease. Here, survival is a triumph, heavy with the cost of those left behind. Your mind drifts, unbidden, to the hours in the crater. A flash of memory, the weight of the grenade in your hand, its pin pulled in a desperate act. The explosion's roar, silencing the enemy's machine gun, echoes in your skull, a sound that saved you but stained you. You see the dune again, the German helmet half buried, a mute witness to your choice. Did you kill? Did you save? The questions swirl, a storm without answers, and you clutch the Garand tighter, its wood worn smooth by your grip. You think of the men who fought before, their moments of action at Shiloh or the Marne, their choices as heavy as yours. Their stories are a faint thread, weaving you into a tapestry of survival. But the weight of it is a quiet sting. History honors the act, not the man who bears its cost. The jeep hits a rut, jarring you back to the present. The medic offers a canteen, its metal warm from her touch. You take a sip, the water sharp and clean. A shock after hours of thirst. It's a small miracle, this drink, and you savor it, aware of its rarity in a world of want. Back home, you'd gulp water without thought, cursing a long day. Here, each drop is a debt repaid, a nod to the resilience that carried you through. You think of the German defences, their bunkers bristling with MG-42s, their Panzer IVs lurking in reserve. The knowledge is a scholar's echo, useless now, but it grounds you, a reminder of the odds you've defied. You're no hero, just a man who crawled, who acted, who lived. A new sound, a low, urgent shout, clear the path, draws your gaze. Another jeep approaches, its bed laden with wounded, their faces pale, their eyes hollow. You recognize one, a private, his arm bandaged, his gaze fixed on nothing. You don't know his name, but you've seen him, maybe on the landing craft, his laughter drowned by waves. The thought is a dark chuckle. You, a stranger to these men, now bound by a shared crucible. You think of soldiers from other times, carried from battlefields on stretchers, their survival a fragile gift. Their stories are a quiet bond, a reminder that you're not alone, even in this fleeting moment of rescue. The medic checks your pulse, her fingers firm against your wrist. "You'll make it," she says, but her voice is flat, a routine promise in a world of broken ones. You nod, unable to reply, and your mind reels back. A montage of the crater, the mist, the grenade's arc. You see the beach, not as it is now, but as it was. A chaos of fire and blood, comrades falling, their cries lost to the surf. The memory is a weight, a silent film that plays without sound, each frame a wound you carry. You think of the men who designed the jeeps, the medics' kits, their work a distant echo in this chaos. Did they know their creations would save men like you, or end men like those you left behind? The thought is a scholar's musing, but it sharpens your gratitude, a flicker of awe for the life you still hold. The jeep slows, approaching a cluster of tents, a field hospital, its canvas flapping in the breeze. The air is thick with the smell of iodine and canvas, a stark contrast to the crater's damp decay. You see medics moving, their hands swift, their faces etched with fatigue. You're lifted from the jeep, your legs weak, and placed on a stretcher, its fabric coarse but steady. The thought is grimly absurd. You, who once walked freely, now carried like cargo, a survivor by chance. Back home, you'd shrug off a minor injury, impatient for the day to end. Here, each step, each breath, is a victory, a defiance of the odds stacked against you. Your eyes drift to the sky, now clear, a pale blue streaked with clouds like torn silk. You think of the soldiers who didn't reach this moment, their names lost in the sand, their stories buried with them. History will call this D-Day, a turning point, but for you, it's a crucible, a forge that's reshaped you. You're not the man you were, not the one who fretted over small stresses in a safe world. You're a survivor, scarred but breathing, a witness to war's raw truth. The thought is a quiet triumph. You, a speck in history's storm, still here, still whole, still carrying the weight of what you've seen. Your back, nestled in the soft embrace of your own bed, its warmth a stark contrast to the cold earth of Normandy. You've survived the crucible of those 72 hours, and now, in this safe haven, you're invited to let go, to drift into a rest that war could never offer. Your limbs relax, the tension of hours spent crawling and clutching a rifle dissolving into the softness beneath you. The mattress cradles you. It gives a gentle rebuke to the unyielding dirt of the crater. You shift, feeling the sheets slide against your skin, their texture a quiet luxury, a reminder of a world where survival isn't measured in seconds. Your shoulders loosen, dropping away from your ears, as if shedding the weight of unseen snipers and distant explosions. The thought is a soft jest. You, who once braced for death in a pit, now spoiled by the simple comfort of a pillow. Back then, every moment was a gamble. Here, each breath is a gift, a silent ode to the resilience that carried you through. The room around you is a sanctuary, its walls solid, not crumbling under artillery's wrath. You imagine the soldiers who never left their craters, their stories buried in the sands of time. Their absence lingers, a quiet ache, but it's distant now, softened by the safety of this moment. You think of their wars, Gettysburg's smoke, Okinawa's mud, each a testament to the human spirit's stubborn refusal to break. Their courage is a faint whisper, a thread that binds you to them. But here, in your bed, it's a story you can release. The thought is a gentle irony. You, who lived their terror, are now free to rest where they could not. Your eyelids grow heavy, a slow curtain falling, and you let them, knowing no ambush waits in the dark. Your breath deepens, a steady tide that rises and falls, washing away the jagged edges of memory. The battlefield's ghosts, comrades lost, shadows in the mist, fade into the stillness of your room. You picture them, not as they fell, but as they might have been, laughing in a barrack, writing home, dreaming of peace. The image is a soft balm, a nod to the lives that history forgets, but you carry. You think of the tools of war, the M1's kick, the medic's gauze, now irrelevant in this quiet space. Back then, they were your lifeline. Here, they're relics, artifacts of a trial you've overcome. The thought is a wry twist. You, a scholar of survival, now studying the art of rest, of surrender to a peace you've earned. The air grows warmer, wrapping you like a cocoon, its stillness a stark contrast to the battlefield's chaos. You feel your fingers uncurl, the fists you didn't know you were clenching softening against the sheets. Your heart slows, its frantic drumbeat easing into a rhythm that speaks of safety. You imagine the Normandy beach, not as a graveyard, but as a chapter closed, its lessons etched in your bones. You think of the soldiers who fought there, their names lost but their grit enduring, a legacy you've touched through your own survival. The thought is a quiet triumph. You, who faced their fear, now cradled in a world they fought to preserve. Your mind drifts, a boat on a gentle current, carrying you away from the weight of those hours. The room's silence is a melody, free of the battlefield's harsh notes. No clatter of steel, no cries for a medic. You picture a field, not scarred by war, but green and open, a place where you might walk without fear. The image is a gift, a vision of peace that the soldiers of old longed for. You think of their wars, their sacrifices, and how they paved the way for this moment, this bed, this breath. The irony is soft. You who once counted seconds in a hole, now count blessings in a world made possible by their fight. Your body settles deeper, the mattress a sea that holds you without judgment. Your legs, once braced for a desperate crawl, now stretch, heavy and still, as if rooted to this place of rest. The thought is a gentle chuckle. You, who once measured life in bullets, now measuring it in the slow rise and fall of your chest. You imagine the soldiers again, not in their final moments, but in their hopes. Letters unwritten, homes unbuilt. Their dreams are a quiet echo, a reminder that survival is more than enduring. It's carrying their light forward. Here, In this safe space, you honor them by letting go, by embracing the rest they never found. The room's shadows soften, blending into the warmth of your surroundings. Your breath is a rhythm now, a lullaby that needs no words. You feel the weight of your head against the pillow, its softness a stark contrast to the sand that once cradled your fear. You think of the battlefield's tools, the jeep's rumble, the grenade's weight, now distant, unnecessary. Back then, they were your shield. Here, their memories, fading like stars at dawn. The thought is a quiet nod. You, who survived the crucible, now free to drift, to let the world's weight slip away. Your eyelids close, a gentle surrender, and you welcome it, knowing no danger waits beyond. Your muscles unwind, each knot loosening as if guided by an unseen hand. The air is a caress, free of the battlefield sting, and your body responds, sinking deeper into the bed's embrace. You imagine a river, not red with blood, but clear and calm, carrying you toward rest. The soldiers of the past are there, not as ghosts, but as companions, their sacrifices a bridge to this moment. You think of their wars, their courage, and how they shaped a world where you can lie here, safe and whole. The thought is a soft triumph. You, who faced their terror, now resting in a peace they dreamed of, a legacy you carry in every breath. The world recedes, its edges blurring as your mind softens. Your breath slows, a gentle wave that laps at the shores of sleep. The room is a haven, and you sink into it, letting go of the battlefield's weight. You've survived not just the hours in the crater, but the trial of memory, of fear, of loss. The thought is a final whisper. You, a witness to history's raw truth, now free to rest, to heal, to be. Your body is heavy, your mind light, and as the tide of sleep rises, you surrender, carried into a peace that war could never steal. And so, your journey through the Normandy shell hole fades, a whisper of courage and survival now drifting into the night. Those 72 hours, raw with fear, fierce with hope, linger only as echoes, softened by the warmth of your bed. Let your body surrender, dear listener, to the gentle pull of rest. Feel your breath slow, your limbs sink, your heart ease into the quiet. If sleep hasn't yet claimed you, share your thoughts below. Where are you? What dreams await? Tomorrow night, another tale will unfold, a new history to cradle you into slumber. For now, release the weight of the day. Let the stars guide you to peace. Sleep softly, sleep deeply, until the morning light calls you back.